everyone. Today I'm going to show you how to make a Rangoli design. Rangoli is an Indian art form where people make colorful patterns on the floor, typically outside the entrance of a house to show that guests are welcome. They're used a lot and made during different Hindu festivals like Diwali, Onam, and Pongal. And they're very much inspired by nature. So a lot of them are radial, which means that they have radial symmetry that comes out from the center, so it's the same on both sides. And that's how I'm going to be showing you to do it today, is with the radial symmetry. So things that you're going to need, I'm going to be using black paper. If you don't have black paper, you can certainly use white. I'm also going to be using colored pencils for this one, but you can definitely use other coloring materials. This one I did with oil pastels, and you can see it's a little bit brighter that way. So you could certainly use oil pastels if you have those, or crayons. They are usually made more with like a colored powder or colored rice or colored sand and flowers when they're made on the floor. And then I'm going to be making a square piece of paper. So if you want to make your paper square, you'll need a pair of scissors. And if you would like to draw in a regular pencil first so that you can erase, you might need a regular pencil. All right, so when you get started here, you're going to need to make a square paper. Now to do that, what you do is you take the corner and you bring it across the paper to the other side, and when you get it to the other side, you hold it there. You want to make sure these edges match, and then you come back around and you kind of lightly crease it. I wouldn't press too hard. Now this piece will be square. This is the piece that needs cut off. So then you would cut along that line, and that helps give you a square paper. And you can hold on to this. This can be nice to test your colored pencils on to see if the color is what you want to use, because some colored pencils are going to be brighter than others. All right, now it really helps to find the center of the paper. I already have one crease going from this corner to this corner. If I make another crease that goes from the other two corners, so I am going to have to make sure these corners match up. If I make this crease here, and you only really have to make it in the middle, you don't have to do it too hard, it will help you to find the center of the paper, which is actually kind of right here. And then you're going to want to kind of flatten the paper back out. So once you've found the center, I usually make like a little dot right there just so I know where the center is. All right, so now to get started, I'm going to begin with a triangle. So I'm going to try and make an equilateral triangle around that center dot. And then I'm going to do the opposite. So I'm going to kind of come up and across to make sort of that six-pointed star shape to get started. Like that. So you have a triangle pointing up and then a triangle pointing down, and they cross each other to make that six-pointed star. Now I'm going to use a combination of curves and triangles to build out the Rangoli. They can be, there's no limit to the size. Obviously with ours there is, because there's a paper, but if you were doing it on the floor, you can make it as big as you wanted to. So when you do this, you're using sort of a combination of curves and triangles to start, and then we'll add in some other decorative elements as well. So I'm going to start now with a curve around each triangle point, and you'll see me rotating the paper as I do this so that the part that I'm drawing is always directly across from me. It helps me to make my curves more similar. All right, so there's my curves, and then I'm going to go back in and add some more triangle shapes. So I'm building it out in a radial way, which means it's kind of coming out from the center, so it's the same on both sides. It may not be exact, but it's pretty close. All right, so then I can add in more curves and more triangles, just however I feel like doing it. So I'm going to do a curve around the triangle now. And then after I do the curve around the triangle, getting kind of close to the edge. I think I'll put a triangle here between these curves. And then I'm actually going to do another curve around the curve here. And I'm doing all of mine in the white pencil. If you want to use a regular pencil first so that you can erase and make adjustments, you can do that. All right, and then maybe, I think I'm going to save the rest now to do some added decorative elements. So since Rangoli is often inspired by nature, things like flowers, peacock feathers, and whatnot, these are some examples of things you could add in to sort of decorate the Rangoli design now. So for example, I might decide here in the middle that I'm going to draw the flower. I could add in just a circle here on these points. I could do kind of this decoration coming off of these triangles, but if I'm going to do it, I need to make sure I do it all the way around. So each triangle gets that same decoration. I also like to add some along the edges as well. So I might do something here where I'm going to use this one here kind of where I have these three petal shapes. So it's up to you to decide kind of what decorations you want to include. I usually try to pick some of the bigger spaces to add them. I don't want to get too small because then it becomes difficult to color. I feel like I want to add one of the swirls. I think I'm going to do a swirl inside these triangles. Oh, I forgot a circle over here. All right, so when you've got your design sort of set the way that you want it, then you can move on to coloring. Now, when you're coloring, it is helpful to sort of test some of your colored pencils or crayons or oil pastels or whatever you're using, kind of find the brighter colors that are going to show up better. So for example, this pink shows up really well. This red that I'm trying is probably gonna be a little bit darker. It still shows up, it's just not as bright of a color. So I would always test the color before you use it to decide if you really want it. On black, obviously some of these darker colors like violet aren't gonna show up as well, but you can certainly use them because it would be nice to have the contrast of the brighter colors and the darker colors. So then once you've got sort of a plan with your colored pencils for what you wanna use, you can start to add the color into your Rangoli design, similar to how I've done this one. So then when it's finished, the design is colored. All right, I hope you have a great time. I'll see you later.